Hello there, I'm Amy, one of the community and student care workers here at college. Please warmly welcome today's conversation partner, Fleur. Great to have you joining me today, Fleur. It's not a practice conversation this week, it's a real one, so strap in. Fleur, why don't you start just by introducing yourself?
Well, I'm Fleur and I'm married to Andrew and we have 3 children. And this year they're all going to be adults. So that's a little bit of a milestone for us.
That's a big milestone. Another milestone happened a couple of years ago when you and your family moved here to SMBC. Can you tell us a little bit about what brought you to college?
Well, we were living quite happily in the Yarra Valley in Victoria, but we were a little bit restless, and I guess we just said to God, look, if you want us to do something different, show us. And we just had this wild thought that maybe we could go and live at Bible college and take 2 of our kids with us. So my husband sees it as a midlife gap year. I said I think we worked too hard to be a gap year. But yeah, it's ended up being 3 years too. So.
But definitely not a midlife crisis, would you say?
I think the midlife crisis came once I got to college.
Okay, we'll unpack that more in a second. As you kind of came to this fork in the road, you decided as a family to pack up your life. That's a big deal. What were some of your expectations as you arrived and were coming into college?
I think I saw college as going to be this wonderful couple of years, a spiritual high, and it has been an amazing experience, but it hasn't gone exactly how I would have expected.
Tell us more, Fleur. How has college perhaps not met your expectations coming in?
I think contrary to my thoughts about it, I think what God's really done has been showing me the deep, sinful parts of my heart that I probably didn't want to really dive into and have to wrestle with. I think God really exposed some of the idols of my heart, some of the things that I've been relying on in my life instead of Him. And yeah, it's actually been quite painful and a difficult process at times.
Would you say you felt that, so you're in 3rd year now, would you say that you felt that from the beginning? Is that just kind of a more recent revelation? How has that journey gone for you?
Yeah, well, I've had a few struggles. I mean, I spent the first few months wondering if I was even a Christian. So that was a great way to start. And I think a lot of people do have that feeling when they get to college.
Can you tell us more why? Why were you wondering that?
I think you're just surrounded by a lot of spiritually mature people, and I think too, just not underestimating, I suppose I underestimated Satan's, deceptions and the way that he actually wants to destabilize you while you're at college, because this is not where he wants you to be.
Mm-hmm. And so you started feeling that way. How did those feelings continue to evolve? Maybe how did your expectations continue to get challenged now that you're in 3rd year?
Well, I remember a poor first-year student asking me how I'd grown in my spiritual life. And I remember saying to her, I feel like I'm going backwards. And I remember just the look of horror on her face. And I'm thinking later, that wasn't the right thing to say. But I guess what I'm realising is that God actually has to take away our earthly props in order to use us, because we want God to use our strengths, and we want to, I hate that verse, that Paul says, God wants to use our weakness. I don't want to use my weakness. I want God just to focus on my strengths. So, but God didn't take that line. He sort of went and tried to dig out the things in my life that I was relying on instead of Him.
Are you happy to share maybe one of those things?
Well, I guess one of those things is I'm a people pleaser. And I look for my identity in my relationships with people and being liked and, being popular. And, yeah, those kind of things, I really felt God saying to me, actually, the only identity that is secure is that you are a beloved child of God and you are loved with an everlasting love. And if we put our identity in anything apart from that, they're all going to fail. Friends will let us down. People disappoint us. We disappoint other people. we can't put our identity in other people. And so that's just one area that I've had to really wrestle with. And yeah, it's still an ongoing process. Those things don't go away overnight.
So you came into college thinking this is going to be an onward and upward journey, a spiritual high, as you said. Those expectations haven't been met, but clearly God's been doing a lot. So, like, do you regret coming to college? What's your sense?
No, it's been wonderful. Yeah, no, it's actually been a wonderful experience, and we absolutely are so thankful. But I think I would just say to people coming in, don't be surprised if God does unexpected things in you. Don't be surprised if God shows you those places in your heart that he needs to weed those out so that he can show his power in your weakness. And it's been a great journey. We do not regret it.
Yeah, when you and I were chatting, you were saying you had this expectation of sanctification looking like this.
Yeah.
Which it actually does, but it kind of feels like this sometimes. Yeah. So maybe you've kind of shared a little bit there, but one tip you would have for people who are a couple of months into college or maybe even a couple of years into college wrestling with, this hasn't been what I've expected. Maybe it's not been the spiritual high, or I don't feel like I've grown, or maybe it's some form of encouragement for people feeling the way you have clearly felt.
I think just look for ways that God is actually growing you, and we have a human idea of what growth should look like. It should look triumphal and beautiful, on the surface, but actually this is hardship and suffering is actually God's path to our holiness. And so I guess just embrace it, and gather some friends around to pray for you as well if you're struggling, and just enjoy the ride. It's going to be good.
Thanks, Fleur. Please give thanks to her, and we're going to pass over to Jerry.